Literature, politics, and show business. At one time or another, they all come to the Ron Seggi Show. So why don't you?
Welcome to Divine Love Talk with Dr. Parthenia Grant, where we talk about health, well-being, and the love of the divine that exists in all of us. Now, here's your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant.
Okay. I'm so excited with the show that we have lined up today. I'll be talking about how and why you should strive for neutrality when you're dealing with difficult or stressful situations at home, work, and with lovers. In studio, we have my co-host, Vanessa Benjamin. Welcome, Vanessa.
Hi, how are you?
Okay, well, Vanessa inspired this topic today because she was dealing and has been dealing with ongoing stressful situations at home and at work. So today we're going to talk about how you can sidestep energetic drains when you're dealing with people who are operating at low vibrations or who are stuck in an extremely negative polarity. And the importance of moving out of judgment when you are in these situations. And we're going to look at the effect on your health, your relationships, and your spirituality if you allow yourself to get pulled into a negative polarity. So you have positive on one end, negative on the other, and neutrality is in the middle, and that is your point of power. So I've got a lot of great tidbits lined up for you today in dealing with this topic, but I wanted to open up with a quote from Metatron. I'm reading a new book by him, and he kind of hit the nail on the head with this topic in terms of addressing why you would want to move into a place of neutrality. He says that although this planet will ascend, there is a spiritual war happening on the earth plane right now. Although the dark forces are merely the grip of the lower chakras or your ego amongst humanity. He's talking about when you're dealing with humanity, and he's referring to the lower chakras. He's really talking about your ego. The mental thought forms are very clever when you're dealing with your ego, and it's easy to be misled and deceived. He also mentions the astral plane, which many people are tapping into, and that the imagination of the lower chakras are very, very vivid, very real, very warlike, and very painful. So I wanted to open up with that quote to say that, you know, we're not taking this topic lightly when you're dealing with people that are at an extremely negative polarity who are challenging your ability stay positive, and even worse, just to move into a place of neutrality once you've been triggered. So that let's open up with that and with a real life situation. Vanessa, you can just, you have plenty to pull from. And we're going to look at, as Vanessa is sharing some of her challenges, how you can catch yourself in the middle of dealing with these issues and move into neutrality. So where do you want to start, Vanessa?
We can start with the situation I had at work. I'm going to try not to go back into that loop. So catch me if I go there.
Yes. Vanessa has a tendency, you know, to get caught up in her story, and which prevents her from place of neutrality because she starts to take it too personal. So let's see how you do, Vanessa, today.
So I was having, some issues with a person another personality disorder, and it's not easy when two personality disorders clash, of course. But this one is unaware of the fact that she is crazy. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. And so I found myself getting, agitated and irritated and really mad about what was going on. And I was fighting a system that clearly has no real intention of changing. And I thought I was doing something right, by, speaking my mind. But
The truth.
yeah, speaking the truth. And I didn't realize that I was getting drawn into a drama that was intentionally set for me by that lady and whatever other dark forces that she's working with. So I did notice a drain in my my energy for like a whole week. And I caught myself by the end of the week, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this is kind of what happened with Dr. Grant at the school and fighting against a system that has no intention of changing. And I was like, okay, if I don't stop, I'm going to go into a downward spiral, and it's not worth it. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that is the real danger when you start to take things really personal. And I do want to commend you, Vanessa, for taking the skills and the tools that you learned in the course that I teach on the ego.
Yeah.
And you took the what we're calling now the we have the ego slapping course, which is the intermediate course, and
It's a great name.
That, yeah, ego slapping is a really important course. But while you were taking the course, your ego was slapping you.
Oh my God.
6 ways to Sunday.
Yep. Yeah.
But you did gather some real skills that came in handy in dealing with the situation. And in the beginner's course, which we're calling ego tripping, which is what people really are caught up in. Their ego is either tripping them up or they are just tripping out. Either way, it's not a good scenario.
Right.
And so while you were taking the class, the goal was, of course, to move into ultimately ego mastering. I don't call it mastery because, as you can see, it's an ongoing process of literally getting your ego in check. So for you, what was happening was just a test where your ego was being triggered and your stuff that had not been resolved during the class. You had so much to resolve, and you did a lot of work. Yeah. But I was very proud of you by getting outside of yourself and becoming objective about the situation. So what did you besides the fact that you learned that you cannot change a system that is set up in the matrix, inside of the matrix, when you're dealing with an educational system and you're in education, and I would also say you're also in it's self-help, but the
and
medical
it's like
field.
Psychology too, for sure.
Yeah, it's psychology. Yeah. So in that field, that field is not going to conform itself around you. Yeah. And so if you go into a situation at work, no matter what the situation is, it can be an institution that's already set up to perpetuate itself, or it can just be a corporation or a small business. But at the end of the day, they're set up to sustain themselves and to be self-perpetuating. And they're really not interested in you coming in and reforming their system, even though you said that the lady said to you, oh, well, I'm open to suggestions,
right.
But usually that's a trap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Suggestions, as long as they're self-serving, as long as they're serving the system. Right. So I think that's the first point that needs to be made, is that when you're dealing with any kind of challenging situation, and we're talking about the workplace right now, you have to consider that you work for that person. You're in an environment that you don't control, and your personality loves to control everything, and wants wants to go in and take charge, right?
Yeah, and I think it was yesterday. I think I realized I'm like, maybe that's a little bit of my entitlement and narcissism coming up, thinking that I'm going to come in here and everyone's going to listen to me because I'm right. And, I had to kind of take a step back and say, oh, okay, so that's residual stuff of, being entitled. And I just kind of realized, like, after a while, I'm like, you know what? It's okay if I don't get my way in this situation because, I'm going to be leaving soon. So it's all right.
But also what people need to know about you is that that's huge. That you coming to that realization on your own, before you took the course, there was no way on earth that you could have acknowledged that you were wrong about anything.
No.
It was always about you getting your way, and everybody and the world is going to be miserable if you don't get your way.
Yeah, I would plot. I'm like, how am I going to get back at this person?
Exactly. If you didn't get your way.
And, I kind of realized too, like knowing where that lady, because I it's pretty clear she's either got some borderline personality disorder and, comorbid narcissism going on. I know how it feels. And when you're in that belligerent state all the time, you can never make any sense when nothing ever makes sense to you except for how you see the world. So I kind of I kind of had to take a step back and realize, like, wow, why am I fighting with the crazy person? I must be stupid. So it's really me. She's really not the problem. It's me,
Exactly. And that is what we're dealing with in the world. I have another quote from Metatron about the war without that's around us versus the war within. And it's very uplifting. He says that the difference between war in the world and the war of the lower chakras on the earth plane, which is the ego, and it's always, and it tends to be fought with violence, whether it's, physical violence or verbal or emotional. The difference is that with you cannot lose. You're already on the winning side if you have chosen to be a spiritual warrior. This is your design. And although the war is an illusion of the lower chakras or the ego, it is a very real experience within humanity. So when you understand that the people that are going to war with you, or that you might be going to war with, it is a very real experience for them. And if you're on a spiritual path, and you allow yourself to get pulled into a war, where is that going to put you energetically? See, that's the real question, isn't it, Vanessa?
Yeah. I need to read this book. Okay, I'm getting that tonight.
Well, I highly recommend it. But I will post it on the Facebook page and on the website because I'm going to include it in the reading. But at the end of the day, it really is about energy, and it's about self-mastery. And he takes it a step further, and he says, take it upon yourself to be the master that your design is moving you toward, and you will lead the troops. Your main concern is your own consciousness. And that's something that I have always reminded you and the other students about, is that you waste so much time trying to change other people and trying to change the world when you really should be focusing on changing yourself. We're going into commercial?
Yes, we're going into commercial.
All
30
right.
seconds.
Okay, well, I'm really excited about this topic, and I have so much more to share, and Vanessa has so many more stories, and so do I, that will help you move out of being pulled into a state of negativity. You're listening to Divine Love Talk. I'm your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant, and you have my co-host, Vanessa Benjamin, and we'll be back after commercial break.
Hey Lorraine, do you realize that your mother, my mother-in-law, Chef Maria, has been serving Las Vegas since 1949?
Yes, I do, Dennis. That's when she first met Howard Hughes, who fell in love with her cooking.
And in 1955, she opened her first restaurant on Fremont Street.
Yes, dear. And another great customer was Liberace.
Wow. Then in 1962, while Frank Sinatra and the Rat Pack were causing global excitement on the Las Vegas Strip, your family opened their second restaurant.
And in 1972, Elvis Presley began electrifying Las Vegas audiences and eating in our restaurant.
You know, Lorraine, this is quite a town. There's only one Las Vegas.
And there's only one Bootlegger Italian Bistro.
Folks, when you're in Las Vegas, come visit us. We'll make you feel like you're part of our family.
The Bootlegger Italian Bistro, conveniently located at 7700 Las Vegas Boulevard, South Strip. Visit our website at www.bootleggerlasvegas.com.
Located in the heart of Maui's premier resort, Kaanapali Beach Hotel is officially recognized as Hawaii's most Hawaiian hotel and the #1 best value in Hawaii. With a range of accommodations and affordable dining options, this is the ideal setting to turn Hawaiian dreams into lifelong memories. Live Hawaiian entertainment every evening, free year-round children's programs, weekly arts and crafts fairs, welcome breakfast, and departure kukui lei ceremonies add to the value. Swim in the whale-shaped pool, indulge in the fabulous spa and hotel salon. Enjoy Hawaiian hospitality at its best at the Kaanapali Beach Hotel. Call 800-262-8450 or go to kbhmaui.com. That's kbhmaui.com. Aloha.
Kaanapali Beach Hotel, Maui's Hawaiian Hotel.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644.
With more Divine Love Talk, and I want to focus in this segment on the tendency to judge and condemn other people because they're not at the same level of consciousness that you happen to be at, or they don't think the way that you think or act the way that you act. There's a tendency to go into this them versus us. Vanessa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. I think you have been very good at moving into judgment and condemnation of others, and you've done a lot of work in that area to become self-aware of that tendency. So let's get a comment from you about how you were before the course in terms of condemning and being angry and judgmental of other people, and where you currently are now.
Oh, okay. Well, I think at the beginning of the course, I would get angry really easily, and it was very black and white with me, with people. And I have to say that I still have to work on that. So I've not at all mastered it, because I will, and that's one of my serious blind sides, because it's really difficult for me to actually catch myself when I go in that place. But I've now kind of tried to go into understanding a lot more, as opposed to just saying, oh, well, forget that person, they're just this or that. And I think once I understand why people are the way that they are, and get, to see like clearly that person is in pain because they're acting out that way, and they're usually it's because of some some aspect of them that's unresolved that they're struggling with, and that's where I can find a semblance of compassion for people, because I'm not, good in the compassionate, department still. So I still need to work on that for sure. But when I realize that, okay, this person is going through something and they're unaware of what they're going through, it's better, than before, I think, in terms of the judgment.
Well, and especially for, I think right now, and it's probably a very good thing for you being a recovering narcissist, that
right.
that you are being extra hard on yourself. I can be a lot more objective because I've seen how far you've come in this situation. And when dealing with narcissists, it's a miracle if a narcissist ever takes responsibility for anything that they do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you could say something about that.
Yeah, or even develops any form of self-awareness. Like,
yes,
to ask just anybody to have self-awareness is difficult, but someone with a personality disorder, oh my God.
Yeah, it's like impossible because personality disorders can tell you everything from A to Z that is wrong with everybody else. They have the most uncanny insight into other people. It's scary how good they are at just giving you a litany of everything that's wrong with everybody else. But then when it comes to them and you say, okay, but what about you? Like, what part did you play in that? It's like, what do you mean? I hadn't, that it was all about them. So it really is challenging for a person who's not a narcissist to find compassion for other people. But the fact that you are even willing to consider that you might be the problem,
right.
or part of the problem, is truly a miracle. And the fact that you are stepping into this place of self-awareness where you are actually analyzing the situation in real time. And I think that that's a very, very important step to move into, because you were talking earlier today about how you saw your part in it as you were allowing yourself to get pulled into it. So I'd like for you to address that and the tool that I gave you about staying in the moment and counting it down.
Well, in this particular situation, as it was happening, I'm like, okay, should I even say this right now? And after it happened, I'm like, okay, so I clearly went too far. And then that night, I realized that, okay, maybe I should, reevaluate how I deal with this person. And we're going to be going into commercial break.
Okay.
Very soon.
All right, and then we will finish this scenario up after commercial break, because I think it's very important to give people these skills. You're listening to Divine Love Talk. I'm your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant, with my co-host, Vanessa Benjamin. And we're going to come back with some amazing tools on how you can purify yourself and move into your power. You're listening to Divine Love Talk on CRN.
Hi friends, this is Larry Manetti. Go to LarryManetti.com to get my book, Aloha Magnum. You'll read all about the wonderful guest stars like Carol Burnett, Elvis Presley, Frank Sinatra, and many, many more. There is an episode guide and my favorite recipes that I really cook at home. I will include a free signed photo with every book. Get Aloha Magnum at LarryManetti.com. Order now. Aloha.
CRN listeners, when you come to Southern California, stop by a great restaurant, the Dresden Restaurant at 1760 North Vermont Avenue in Hollywood. Enjoy great entertainment, like the music of the legendary Marty and Elaine at the world-famous Dresden Restaurant. The Dresden was a location for the making of the movie Swingers. Now you can swing with stars Marty and Elaine. Plus, enjoy great food too, like French onion soup, artichoke hearts, and many other great appetizers. Seafood, there's salmon, shrimp scampi, New Zealand orange roughy, halibut, Lake Superior whitefish, and specialties like veal, marsala, piccata, and parmigiana. Plus, we've got a great roast rack of lamb, chicken piccata, and cordon bleu, and pasta dishes too. Steaks, filet, New York, Chateaubriand for two. Much more too, including pork chops, prime rib of beef, and an incredibly extra large cut of prime rib. It's the Dresden Restaurant, open for lunch Monday through Saturday and dinner Monday through Sunday. Check us out at 1760 North Vermont Avenue or call 323-665-4294.
Your Concert Connection, the showroom at South Point, presents the ultimate tribute to Johnny Cash, the Man in Black, starring Sean Barker. Also featuring hits made famous with June Carter Cash. October 27th through the 29th. Tickets at the box office, online at southpointcasino.com or call 702-797-8055. Man in Black, a tribute to Johnny Cash at the South Point.
The smartest way for you to get the lowest prices on your plane tickets, domestic or international, is to call SmartFares first or last, but you've got to call us before you book your plane tickets. Fly anywhere in the world, fly anywhere in the U.S., and SmartFares can save you up to 75% on your plane tickets. We have the lowest airline ticket prices on over 500 airlines, and you've got a great 12-hour free cancellation window. Plus, with our live agent help, you can always get fast help and fast answers. So on your next trip, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, how about right now? Pick up your phone and call SmartFares, plus save up to 75% on your plane reservation. So call right now. 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644, 800-915-2644.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
And I wanted to finish up the discussion that Vanessa and I were having about when your higher self is telling you, I don't think you should say that, or maybe you really shouldn't do that. Your higher self is always speaking to you in this softer tone, and it's guiding you away from trouble. And it's also always guiding you away from conflict and trying to put you in the path of peace. That's how you recognize the voice of your higher self versus the voice of your ego, which just loves to put other people down. It loves to be starting something, and it loves to have the last word.
And to be right.
So that's what you were dealing with, Vanessa, in that situation. And I think we probably should take a look at the fact that you still get a certain amount of satisfaction out of telling people off with the truth, right?
Yeah, and I was like, man, I'm still a little bit of a drama queen. I need to rein that in.
Absolutely.
I'm like,
well, and see, at least that's a huge step. The fact that you're recognizing the drama when you're in the middle of it, and the fact that you actually did end up resolving this peacefully and you literally forced your ego to step aside for the greater good of the all. And the old Vanessa would have literally cut off her nose to spite her face, and then looked at the mirror and wondered who did that to her, who made her do that. Not that she did it to herself. So I think now, in terms of the tool that I know is very, very powerful, is that when you hear that voice, that still small voice, there's a very small window of opportunity for you to pull yourself out of that negative pull that it's almost instinctive, because it's very natural for you as a drama queen, Vanessa, to get pulled into drama or to be creating a problem where it really is not a problem.
Making a mole out of an anthill or a mountain out of a molehill. Yeah.
Yes, a mountain out of a molehill, because with the ego, you identified yourself through your dramas and through your stories and problems that didn't even really need to exist. And so what I see is that these are residual programs that are coming up for you to look at them and resolve them so that you don't stay in that place of negativity. So the easiest thing to do is when you hear that voice, it's only going to speak to you 3 times. And after the 3rd warning, it says, okay, she needs the school of hard knocks, and I'm going to step back and just let her have her way because it's not going to interfere with your free will. And you're familiar with that. But what I want to say is that when you hear it, just go with it. Don't question it, and do this countdown of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm out of here. I'm done with this. And you just have to pivot and move into the positive direction, which the ego will have a fit when you do that because it feels like it lost. And the other part of it is you have to move out of, well, somebody has to lose and somebody has to win. It's just, it doesn't have to be that. That's just a polarized way of thinking. So does that make sense, Vanessa?
Oh, yeah. Like I was definitely, after I realized, I'm like, all I'm saying, it's not really getting me anywhere. I did feel like she had won, and that, I was like, great, it was a lot of pride that was coming up that I felt, but
Arrogance.
But the interesting thing is usually the next day I would keep touting on and keep going on with my, I'm right. Yeah. And I would keep trying to fight. And I realized, like, you know what? Okay, I may have egg on my face. Okay, big deal, but that's just pride. And I have to work on that, and I have to deal with these emotions that I feel because they're my ego. And I have to face all of these fears that are coming up, and I have to go there tomorrow. And, I actually apologized to her. And
wow.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's historic. Like, Vanessa apologized.
Yeah.
Okay, man, people have no idea how incredible that is for a narcissist to apologize for anything. And when a narcissist does apologize, it wants something. It's like, oh, well, okay, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Right.
But it's not a real apology. So was it a real apology, Vanessa?
Oh, no, it was, because she thought that I was comparing her to the other teachers, which I was, but I understand, like, that's how she felt, and okay, she felt hurt, by it. So that's why I apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry if I made you feel that way.
And attacked.
Yeah.
But also she felt attacked, right? Because the thing about the truth is that sometimes you have to ask yourself, do I want to be at peace or do I want to be right? And the ego has a tendency to take the truth and say, oh, go cut that person's neck with the truth, or go beat them over the head with the truth. And sometimes, and you know this very well, when you're dealing with a personality disorder, the last thing they can deal with is the truth. Right. So you have to get to this place where you figure out when it's appropriate to speak the truth to someone who is in the throes of their ego, because you're just asking for a fight if you tell them the truth about themselves. So I think you can address that very well.
Yeah, it literally throws them into a blind rage, because that's literally what happened with this person. She went into a complete, she literally turned into a 5-year-old, and I'm like, yeah, I do that too if I were to go there. And I had to really because I did realize when I did mention something, giving her the suggestion that I thought she wanted, right?
You thought.
Yeah. It really wasn't about, something told me don't do it, there's no point. But I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it anyways. Yeah. No, I need to tell her what's wrong with what she's doing, and then it blew up in my face, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. It was my fault.
But look, that was a good lesson though, wasn't it?
Yeah. And
because at the end of the day, what is it all about? What have you learned from the course about every difficult challenge that comes up? What is it all about?
It's really all about getting your lessons. And really, I had to take a step back and say, okay, well, what is my real motivation for telling her all this stuff? Am I really trying to help my client and the kids that are in her class, or am I really trying to boost my ego by making somebody look stupid, which I don't really have to do. She can do it on her own. So why am I wasting my energy? The point is that whatever happens in whatever situation my client is in, I'm there to help them. And, it's not the ideal situation, but that's what my job, why I'm hired to help that person. So.
Wow. Now that is extremely mature, Vanessa. I'm blown away at these realizations that you have been able to come to on your own, because that really, we do have to ask ourselves when we're getting ready to tell the truth about anything, what our motivation is. And the fact that you were even willing to question your motivation in telling her what you told her is an extraordinarily high level of thinking. So I do want you to give yourself credit when credit is due. So it is definitely due. And I want to move on, because this is really important. And I'm going to give the name of the book. It's Metatron, This is the Clarion Call, because I have another amazing quote from the book about purity. Purity actually equates to power. And a lot of when you're in your ego, the last thing you want is purity, because the ego equates purity with, oh, that's no fun. That's just
it's boring. It's a dud. Where's the drama?
Where's the drama?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's break this down so that you see the real power in purity. Metatron says, when you get to a point of purity, you may attain absolute manifesting power and absolute healing power. You will be able to bilocate and transcend time and space. You just don't understand how you can access this power while you are in the grips of your ego or lower chakras. If you do not ascend past the lower chakras or your ego, you would destroy yourselves through, he says, what we call the 7 deadly sins, which are your pitfalls. Now, I was blown away when I read that, because the download that I got when I was creating the course, the intermediate part of it, has to do with transcending the 7 deadly sins. And I broke down every aspect of each one of the 7 deadly sins, which are very multi-layered and complicated. and in place of them acquiring 12 virtues. And that I was just like, whoa, okay, this is incredible, because I know that to be true. And I also know that even though everybody's aware of the 7 deadly sins, they see them on a very superficial level, and they'll look at them and they'll say, oh, I'm not a glutton. I'm thin. I don't eat a lot. And they'll forget, oh, but you're a glutton for punishment.
Right.
And gluttony has so many different layers to it, as do each of the 7 deadly sins. So I was just kind of tickled when I read that, because when I look at all of the spiritual paths, even though they're familiar with the 7 deadly sins, nobody is really focusing on how you can literally transcend them, and why it's important to transcend them. And the truth is, most people on a spiritual path, what will trip them up is one or more of the 7 deadly sins. So the other point that I want to add in terms of why you want to do this work of purifying your lower chakras, and the way that you purify them is through meditation practice, and through your diet, and through exercise, and getting out in nature, and those are a lot of the things that I cover in the course. But the real reason why you want to do this versus getting caught up in ego dramas and competing with other people's egos and arguing with other people's egos and trying to be right all the time, and fighting with people and being at war in some way, shape, form, or fashion, is because Metatron says this, and I've said this repeatedly throughout the class. He says that each master that walks fully into their open, enlightened consciousness and taps into the network of enlightened beings helps those stuck in the illusion of separation. And you know that in the class, I always pointed out that you think that you're doing this work just for yourself, but you're literally doing it to help your lineage, 7 generations in the past and 7 generations in the future. And by doing that, you're also helping everyone who comes into your sphere or your circle of influence. And that, I mean, what do you think, Vanessa, from someone who has just been totally mired in her ego, the reward of purification versus the reward of the ego? How does that compare to you now? What does that look like?
Well, there's less of that inner struggle, you know. I can't say that it's not, it's completely eradicated, because I still have a lot of stuff to work on. But in terms of day to day of me having just issues and constantly finding someone or something to fight with or fight against, you know, there's less of that, and I can easily resolve issues a lot quicker than before. Cause, yeah.
But now what I'm really trying to get at with you, because you really felt like the reward of your ego was much greater than the reward of anything on a higher level. So how do the two compare? The reward of the ego versus the reward that you get through self-mastery, by purifying your lower chakras?
Well, I mean, to put it in, you know, black and white terms.
How does it look to you?
To me, honestly, it's like life and death. You know, the ego represents death, you know, to me, which the ego will drive you with the 7 deadly sins, or, you know, to your early demise. You know, it is what causes aging, you know, and why we as human beings that recreate ourselves, our cells are constantly recreating themselves every, 7 years, why we can't maintain, you know, looking young. And to me, you know, moving on to something better, as opposed to either going through the second death, you know, if you're a fallen angel and this is your last go around, or having to go to a planet that's much worse than this one, which I can't even really imagine. So, It's
right.
You know,
can you even imagine that?
No, I honestly I couldn't. I mean, after finding out all the crazy stuff that is going on, I'm like, how could it possibly get any worse?
Well, it can.
Yeah.
You know, because remember, we're only 3D. And so that means that there's two, you know, there's the lower astral realm and there is 2D and 1D. So yeah, it can get a whole lot worse. But, you know, the change in you, the way that you were protecting your ego and defending your ego as if it had all of the rewards and all of the answers, hearing that answer now, it's a huge step forward. You're listening to Divine Love Talk. I'm your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant, with my co-host, Vanessa Benjamin, and we will be back after commercial break with more of Divine Love Talk on CRN. You can find us at drparthenia.com.
CRN listeners, when you come to Southern California, stop by a great restaurant, the Dresden Restaurant at 1760 North Vermont Avenue in Hollywood. Enjoy great entertainment, like the music of the legendary Marty and Elaine at the world-famous Dresden Restaurant. The Dresden was a location for the making of the movie Swingers. Now you can swing with stars Marty and Elaine. Plus, enjoy great food, too, like French onion soup, artichoke hearts, and many other great appetizers. Seafood, there's salmon, shrimp scampi, New Zealand orange roughy, halibut, Lake Superior whitefish, and specialties like veal, marsala, piccata, and parmigiana. Plus, we've got a great roast rack of lamb, chicken piccata, and cordon bleu, and pasta dishes, too. Steaks, filet, New York, Chateaubriand for two. Much more, too, including pork chops, prime rib of beef, and an incredibly extra large cut of prime rib. It's the Dresden Restaurant, open for lunch Monday through Saturday and dinner Monday through Sunday. Check us out at 1760 North Vermont Avenue or call 323-665-4294.
Hi, everyone. This is Fred Dreyer with a big announcement. My new movie, Highway 395, has just been released. Don't miss this classic modern-day Western set along Highway 395 in California. It's an action thriller with some romance, too. You can own Highway 395 today by going to my brand new website, freddryer.co. That's freddryer.co. Get my new movie, Highway 395, and check out my new website, freddryer.co.
It has been said that everyone has a book in them. But do you have the time or the ability to write your book? Maybe you picked up some skills or had a life experience that you want to pass on in the form of a book to help others. Maybe you want to leave an autobiography for your family. Or maybe you've built a successful business and you want to share your story. At Dorrance Publishing Company, we have professional writers who can help turn your book idea into a finished manuscript quickly and affordably. A Dorrance ghostwriter can provide as much or as little help as you need to complete your book. You'll work directly with your ghostwriter to finish your book faster than you ever could on your own. It's easy to become a published author. Call Dorrance now to learn more. 800-485-8803. 800-485-8803. 800-485-8803. Call right now. That's 800-485-8803.
Two-time Grammy Award-winning Jack Jones is performing live at the Irvine Barclay Theater on Saturday, October 28th.
Comb your hair, fix your makeup.
Tickets are on sale now at thebarclay.org. Come enjoy an evening with Jack Jones as he sings his classics.
My heart's out of the running, true love straps for another's sake.
And hits off his new album, Seriously Frank, a tribute to Frank Sinatra.
The best is yet to come.
Come see Jack Jones live at the Irvine Barclay Theater. For tickets, go to thebarclay.org.
CRN, and we're wrapping this up. Boy, it went really fast. Vanessa, what would you say to people out there who are on the spiritual path, and you know we run into them all the time, who think that they have mastered their ego?
Oh, well, you guys have another thing coming. You will never be, I mean, the ego is always trying to find a way to get to you. And until you actually realize that you have one, and if you think you don't have one, then you have the biggest ego ever.
You're in real trouble, right? If you think you don't have one.
Yeah, and the nicest people out there, you know, have the biggest egos, you know, and it's unfortunate, but it's true. But I mean, I would say it's worth having the self-awareness because, you know, you just there's a less pain in having to defend yourself all the time. You know, there's
Right?
way too much energy in like, oh no, let me prove to you that that's not true, when it's clearly is the truth about yourself. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Well, that's worth its weight in gold, isn't it?
Yeah. And also I kind of realized that, you know, back in the day, 3 months ago, when I was really into the whole falsehood and the truth is the lie and the lie is the truth, there really was
and trying to prove the truth a lie and the lie a truth.
Yeah, there's so much anguish that you get when you're in that state. And when the truth is that I really did on some level want to know the truth, because I would ask you, you know, I would say, okay, well, this is coming up. Can you debunk this? Because it becomes difficult for me to see through that type of stuff when I'm in that state. And when your ego is talking to you, you need someone to debunk every single BS lie that your ego is telling you. And thankfully, you did that for me. And so I have to do that with myself now. And it's, you know, it's better to go with the truth, even if you're wrong. If I'm wrong, okay, big deal. I actually find more peace now knowing that, okay, I'm wrong, but then there's still a solution to this problem. You know?
And facing the truth about yourself and your ego, it's not the end of the world, is it?
No, it's not. It's literally the beginning of something greater, you know, which I mean, I maybe this is being the more judgmental, uncompassionate part of myself. You let me know. But I think to myself, I don't understand why people now, you know, hold on so hard to it, because I can't even imagine, like, if you're telling me, you know, Vanessa, you're full of it right now, you know, it's not going to feel the greatest, but, you know, I can take a step back and say, oh, okay, yeah, I'm full of it, you know. And it's better that way than having to say, like, no, you know, I don't think you understand, you know. I'm not full of it. You're full of it.
And you know what? I can feel the difference in you when I point something out to you, or when I pull you out of those loops that you go into. You actually will like take a breath and go, oh, yeah, you're right. And we don't have to get into you justifying everything, which is such a tremendous waste of energy and time. And we can be a lot more productive. So, you know, in terms of moving into neutrality, it protects your energy. It allows you to have that space of peace in your heart, and to not be at war with everybody and everything around you. It's really not that critical to be fighting with everybody. It's better to find common ground. And when you step into compassion, there is always a common ground that you can find with other human beings. So that's my 2 cents worth today. You've been listening to Divine Love Talk. I'm your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant, and my co-host, Vanessa Benjamin. Thank you for doing the work, girl.
CRN Digital Talk Radio prides itself on being the station of every situation. Of course, you can always listen live through your local cable TV provider, as well as on our website at crntalk.com. But if cutting-edge technology is more your style, you'll be happy to know that CRN is now available on Wi-Fi radio. Simply log on to Reciva.com, that's RECIVA.com, and look for CRN. You can access all of our great shows and listen live anywhere in the world. Be part of your favorite shows and get the full CRN listening experience you would have with any traditional radio, podcast, or a live stream from our website. For more information,